Welcome back to the Old Colony Cast, a podcast about all things Plymouth and surrounding areas. I am one of your hosts, Andy, joined by, I almost said host number 2.
I like other hosts.
You like other hosts?
I still like other hosts, yeah.
I don't know, it doesn't roll off the tongue.
No.
But other host, Hanna.
Hi.
And then our tonally challenged editor, Fish.
I think we've discovered we all
I think we all are, but usually I always add something to him. So I figured,
Look, I'm just glad we got there because I was very.
I was going to go with preschool graduate.
I was expecting like hairless Wookiee.
Oh.
That would be
nonsense.
No, see, that was in such passing. But no,
Yeah.
I was gonna go with preschool graduate.
I like that.
All right.
So,
And here's our preschool graduate editor, Fish.
for the record, it was not recently.
I didn't say recently.
It's been
Billy Madison's preschool.
Yeah.
It was like GED style.
I'd
though.
be super. I'll be completely honest. There are times where
Night
like
school?
just
Night
preschool.
preschool.
night
I'll be
preschool.
honest. Going through preschool
Is it
sounds
night
like,
preschool or pre-night school?
I think those are two completely separate
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
I'm mostly realizing that preschool sounds wonderful right now. You play around.
Yeah.
There's story time. There's a nap.
Nap's pretty solid.
Like,
I have a better chance of napping now than I did when I was actually the age.
I could Billy Madison way through preschool, and I'd probably be way happier.
Yeah.
I feel like
all go back.
night preschool is preschool that happens in the evening, and pre-night school is when you drink before you go to night school.
Yeah.
I'm entirely okay with it.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, otherwise our hands are tied.
Yeah.
Was that the good segue from the last time?
No.
Oh, damn. Last thing I said was, my hands are tied, or your hands are tied.
No, it was the
and-
topic that you were saying, not what you specifically
Oh, I don't
said.
remember. We literally recorded 45 seconds ago, and I already don't remember what
It
I
was
said.
generally about the. This is not like a segue about what we're talking about, but it is very topical to what we are talking about. And you mentioned the current administration and some things being different
Yes.
and a bit more challenging.
Yes.
Right.
I was going to say different is generous.
Yeah, I'm
but-
going to probably be pretty generous and let people fill in blanks.
Okay. But what are we talking about today, Hanna?
We're going to be. This is a twofold episode.
Okay.
Okay, so sorry for the clapping.
I'm trying to figure out what twofold means. Is it like two episodes, two
There's
parts?
two parts to it because they had a lot to do with one another.
Two parts to it, but not a two-part episode.
No.
Got it.
Yes. So there's one topic.
So preschool happens at night.
Yes.
Is night preschool.
Yeah. So there's one topic and then there's another topic, but they are very much
Connected.
reliant on one another in a lot of ways.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there's a through line to the episode.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
We're with you.
So first we're going to talk about the Canal bridges.
Okay.
Okay.
I was feeling very current eventsy
Okay.
when doing these episodes. So the Canal bridges, we've talked about the canal.
We have.
We
Yeah,
have.
we haven't done anything about the canal bridges.
No.
The Bourne and Sagamore.
Yeah. There's also a train bridge. We're not going to talk about the train bridge. It's
Train bridge is pretty awesome.
it's
train bridge
perfect.
is
We
super
can leave it
cool.
alone.
All right. Yeah.
Like we both legitimately love.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people who be like, you can't change anything in town. If someone was like, we're going to tear the train bridge down, I would
I will
pitchfork.
I don't think
I
there's
will-
any plans in the works.
I will.
I
I will
think
have signs.
I think
I
we're
will
one of the
march.
masses that adore that bridge. That's like
It was the.
that bridge. I don't think is going to be
Yeah.
touched for
It
a
was
while.
legitimately the high point of our aborted farmers market.
Yeah.
Was that bridge?
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. It was the high point.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome, and the market was not.
So, Twin Bridges, Sagamore and the Bourne, built in 1935, 90-year-old bridges. They are meeting their limit on
Everything.
everything.
Insert thing here.
Yeah, they were actually built during the Great Depression era and federally funded, which did create jobs, so that was nice.
That was a lot of what was going on at the
Yep.
time.
Opened June 20th of that year, and they've been owned and operated by the United States Army Corps of Engineers.
Yes, it is, because
Yeah,
I've had
'cause-
to get their permission to use their parking lot.
Because they own the canal.
Oopsies, that can stay down there. Yes, and they still own and operate that. The bridges are considered functionally obsolete as their infrastructure fails. Not in that way that's scary, just that they keep having to do repairs on them. And
Every year.
And they are they haven't accommodated for Cape traffic for some time. So
I would argue in any of, well,
in my lifetime, certainly not.
Yeah.
no, maybe Andy's.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So
I can tell you the changes that were made bridge related
yeah.
were very unbridge related.
Yes, it was
So it was
all
like the
highway
rotaries
area.
before, because there used to be like rotaries on either side.
Yes, yeah, they switched
And they're
that
like,
all
this is
around.
a terrible idea.
It was. So the bridges and the roadways around it will be replaced. So there will be new roads going on and off the bridges again. Mm-hmm. However, I do feel like the roadways we have now are an improvement from the rotaries that were there previously.
It was brutal.
I learned
Yeah,
how to
it-
drive like on that rotary. That was like my first rotary.
Oh.
And then over the
Well,
bridge.
here's the thing. Once you do that, nothing you will find will frighten you.
No.
Yeah. Because
Like
now
you-
there's only one.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that bridge is tight. It's tight.
It's very,
Especially when you're in the middle lane, or not the middle, but you know what I mean,
Yeah.
the left lane closest to the opposite traffic.
I prefer that to be. I prefer being on the inside lane,
Versus the
prefer the
sidewalk.
outside. I find the outside. I don't love heights, but I'm usually fine with bridges.
Yeah.
Driving over the bridges is like the most anxiety-inducing.
See, I feel
they're
like
really tall.
I'm an
They're very tall
outside
bridges.
lane person.
Me too.
Because they are so tight, and I've had a friend and have heard of numerous people getting in head-on collisions on the bridge.
Yeah.
So,
So the plan is to replace them with like another set of twin bridges, but it's going to be like it's going to be like 4 bridges, essentially. Not 4 bridges, but there's going to be a big separation between traffic.
so
they'll-
like they'll be kind of
So
like
there'll be like 2 one-way bridges.
Yes,
okay.
exactly.
I like that idea.
You got it.
So there'll be
you
a-
put into words what I couldn't write down. I couldn't figure it out. I said, I know what
Yeah.
they're saying. I just
Yes.
can't write it. So yeah, that's what it'll be like, which will be nice.
That makes sense.
And likewise, the roadways coming. That's why they have to change so much of the roadways coming off of it.
That makes sense.
They used engagement surveys and engineering considerations, like when picking the design of it. And the twin arch is the lowest cost and fastest build type, so it will be like a similar
Look.
architecture,
Yeah.
you could say, but probably different in so many ways.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. But it's not going to be like a straight across bridge. That would not work for our canal,
Okay.
simply because
There
then
are
that
boats.
would. There are boats.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
There are ships.
Yes.
They're big enough.
Oh
for
yeah,
ships.
yeah. They're.
I know. I
they're
saw a huge one coming down the other
Yeah,
day.
I was.
It like blocked my view. I was like, "What is that?" It looks like a building.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
it's-
the giant, like
just a
freighter.
super-
Yeah.
It's just a huge.
The is it Captain Ron? Is that the Tom Hanks movie?
Oh, and
I'm the captain now. That one.
I don't know if it's Ron. It's not Ron. Captain
Captain
Ron
Ron.
is like a
Isn't Captain Ron like a
you know.
Oh, that's a
Hawaiian shirt company or
Yes.
something?
no, Captain.
It's the movie with
That's a really good
Goldie
one.
Hawn and
and Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell, yeah,
that's a
Overboard.
fun one.
love that movie.
Yeah. So go, everyone, go out and watch Captain Ron, then come back and finish.
Yeah. Oh
listening.
no, Captain Ron is when he has an eye patch.
Yeah.
Overboard is a completely
Oh, that's also a good one
different
too.
movie.
All right.
So,
So listeners, go watch Captain Ron. It's a very funny movie.
Yes.
Kurt Russell. And
And
then
then
Overboard
watch,
is
yeah.
like a
it's like a rom-com,
yeah.
but also very weird.
It's very weird.
So I put on Overboard thinking it was Captain Ron, and I was like, "Where's his eye patch?" And I was like, "They're really not on a boat for very long.
Yeah.
What is going on?" And then I was like, "Oh, this is not the movie I thought it was." Anyway,
What's the Tom
So-
Hanks one?
Captain Phillips.
yes,
Captain
Captain
Phillips.
Phillips.
Yeah, for those of you, that was the movie we were aiming for.
Yeah. But
And you
those
were-
size boats.
Yeah, you were thinking of
Yeah.
Ron John.
I think I was thinking around
Yeah.
John. Look, we were all thinking of the differently wrong things.
So,
and
so
that's
my
fine.
point is that's the size of the ship
Yeah.
that goes through the Cape Cod Canal. Those massive,
those are
massive ones.
huge.
So the goal of this is to cut down on all things that suck about going down to the Cape or coming off the Cape.
So everything.
yeah.
Everything.
Everything.
MassDOT will head the design and construction efforts and will own and operate.
Department of Transit.
Yes.
Yes, just
Thank
for
you.
anyone outside of the state.
Massachusetts Department of Transit
Yeah.
will own and operate them after the bridges are built. So they're taking over.
Oh, from the Army Corps?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. Very. On to the next page.
I've never had to get permission from the Department of Transit.
So,
I feel like it's a yet thing.
Yeah.
Like most of our things are just not yet.
so their plans are not. They're not even going to like start this until 2028.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting it.
We're a ways off. December. So we're going to talk about some funding. So
Okay.
I thought this was important to talk about, given our current political climate. December 15th, funding on 2023. The received some funding from. It's a discretionary grant fund, and
Okay.
it's $372 million. This is just for the Sagamore Bridge. July 12th, 2024, won a $1 billion grant through the Bridge Investment Program, also for the Sagamore Bridge. A total of like $1.72 billion, in addition to a $700 million pledge from the state.
Yeah.
Okay. Those other two were federally things. May 6th, 2024, they applied for a multi-model project discretionary grant for the Bourne Bridge. In August 1st, 2024, they applied for the Bridge Improvement Program grant. Those are not secured yet.
Okay. Which is, I'm guessing,
Yes.
part of Biden's infrastructure bill.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, that's why I hear the tone.
Yeah.
So I believe that's what those grants were.
I
part of.
believe they are too.
Yes.
So I think they should be fine. However, that is not secured funding yet.
Yes.
Just something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Both companies, or what is it, establishments, so Massachusetts Department of Transportation and United States Army Corps of Engineers, are both responsible for monitoring future grants for the project.
Okay.
So they can make bids and applications should one come up.
So they're working in tandem.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. This was what got this brought to my attention. I was fed an article the other day of the project.
Is this one about eminent domain?
Yes.
I did see that. I didn't read it.
So I'll give you a little recap.
Okay, because I saw it and I'm like, well, I get it, but then I kind of like read like a blurb from it and I'm like, well, that might actually be a reasonable argument. So I'm you're saving me from having to go back track it down and read
Hopefully
it.
I talk about whatever it is you think is a reasonable argument. March, I did that thing again. I did that. Whatever you think is a reasonable argument. Like,
Oh.
I didn't mean it like that. I just
I
really
didn't-
mean,
no, I got you.
hopefully
I
I
got
touch
you.
on what you were talking about.
I didn't honestly didn't take it.
Okay,
that way.
good.
Yeah, I took it as you were kind of reading at the same time.
The Sagamore project has plans to seize several private properties through eminent domain. It's in the Round Hill neighborhood that's specifically affected. That was published on March 7th, so it's a very recent article. The Cape Cod Times. Sorry, I'm moving on to my next part. So I watched, what was it, like News Center something? I don't know. Sorry, I should probably know what thing I watched. But
Yeah.
It was like they went to this person's home that was being. They got served with a notice, like
Yeah.
someone knocked on their door from Massachusetts Department of Transportation, gave them notice that as of whatever date, their property will be seized to store supplies.
That was my part where I'm like, okay, that person might have an argument.
Yeah,
Or in my mind, a reasonable argument.
right.
Because because you can't tear down a bridge and then put up a new one. You have to simultaneously build one and then tear the other one down.
Right.
So I'm like, it'll be roughly in the same spot, but not the exact same spot. So you might have to take land.
Yeah.
That I get.
Yeah.
Well, especially if you're building the single unidirectional
Right.
bridges, you're gonna have to rejig a lot of
Right.
how
So
the road
I mean,
works down there.
there's
perfectly
just
makes
land
sense.
that you're gonna have to take.
Yeah.
But land to store stuff on, I'm like, that doesn't seem right.
And especially if that's their home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
because I feel like there has to be commercial area that you
well,
can,
that and just to boot somebody of their home for a temporary.
That's what I'm
it's a
saying.
Temporary
Yeah.
need. It's not like, oh, this is where the Bridges Road is going
Right.
to come through.
That was my point where I was like, oh, I think they have a reasonable argument as to you shouldn't be seizing my home for temporary use.
I'm just going to tell you right now, they're past the seizing part.
They're
There's
already
nothing
seized.
they can not do anything about that.
Really?
What they are looking to do is get the most payout for their property that they can.
Sure.
So
Which
that's
would make sense.
That's their concern at the moment.
Okay.
So they have started a little coalition of the people who got served in their neighborhood.
So they're not happy with what they're being paid for?
I think they're deciding. So they're looking to try and get the most that they can. The couple that they specifically there was a few people and couples that they interviewed, but the one that was kind of hosting the interview, they had just moved there. They're an old, I don't want to say older, but not, it's not like they're a young couple. They were just looking to retire there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, they just bought that house. And on the opposite end of
that's better.
Buying a house right now is so hard. And I don't know how, it's the idea that they won't be able to go somewhere else very easily.
Yeah.
And if the state is
One of the worst things I've ever had to do
lowballing
in my
them.
life was purchase a house.
Yeah.
And no, because now you're going to have to do it again.
But on the opposite end of that, there's the people who've lived in their house forever. So my concern for those people who just bought it is that they might not get their full equity back.
Oh, yeah.
And then they could potentially still have a big mortgage for it.
Yeah.
That's my concern for them. That might not be the case. They could have their ducks in a row. They could have paid a lot up front and figured it out.
But also, it's if they're eminent domaining it, then shouldn't
You feel like
the state on some level have a responsibility to go, well,
we're paying your
we're
mortgage.
paying, it's like we're paying off your mortgage.
Hopefully.
Because it's
They should.
They should, yeah.
But
you're losing you're we're taking this away from you for no fault of your own.
yeah. No, hopefully they do that. That's still up in the air. So that's where this article kind of wraps up, is that they're fighting to get the best value they can
Right.
for that, because the seizing of it is happening.
And trying to find a new place to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
It's not easy to do.
no.
I know, and there were people that lived there forever.
Yeah.
There was a lady who had lived there her whole life and then grew up and bought the house she grew up in. And she's lived there forever. That's so sad.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel more sad for the people who just moved. Because you're like, hey, we just moved, and someone's like, cool, now you have to do it again.
I think if I didn't have that many memories attached to it, I wouldn't feel.
If you're I suppose the difference between the house you just bought versus your childhood home that you still that's
that you cared enough about to buy.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Mm.
And either way, it sucks for all of them.
Yeah.
That's my
there's two-
sympathies.
Yeah. At least two families that want to live somewhere that are now not able to live there.
Well, there's several
Yeah.
people, so it's very unfortunate. I feel terrible that's happening to them. That's a right now thing, because you're right about the roads. This could impact more people.
Right.
I don't know. There's no thing saying that. I just imagine that with changing the roadways,
It's
it would
got
have to
cause a huge,
Yeah.
I mean,
So anyway, we're gonna move on to the next thing I wanted to talk about, because we're kind of done with the bridges.
Okay.
That's all I really had for an update, because I really didn't know much about the plans for them anyway. I'm like, are they starting that this summer? It's years away.
I heard talk of it, but that was it.
Yeah, and obviously the Sagamore is going first, so funding has
So it'll
lined.
sag a less.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you, Chris Houghton, for that joke.
Steal Chris Houghton's
Yeah.
material.
So, we're going to talk about another article that came across my feed very recently from the Cape Cod Times, and it is about the impacts the federal terminations have had on the Cape Cod National Seashore.
Ooh, okay.
So, obviously, unless you live under a rock, I feel like
Or in Iraq.
I feel like everyone knows that
No, nothing. That was a good pun.
there's a lot of a lot of job loss within federally run programs, things happening right now. A lot of terminations.
And mass confusion is what it is.
Oh my God.
You all right?
I just got attacked by a fruit fly.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's mass confusion.
Yes.
Because I mean, even the people who are losing their jobs are like, I'm not even sure if I'm losing my job.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot. It's
So,
mayhem.
one of the areas of the federal government that was impacted was the National Parks Department and the National Forest Service.
Yes.
Those are two different things, and they serve two different purposes. Both are, I mean, I find invaluable. That's my belief. But not everyone sees it that way, right? So on the Cape Cod National Seashore, it lost 3 full-time employees as of February 14th, and this is due to the Trump administration's attempt to cut spending. Lawsuit is in motion over this, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of which was an ecologist working to restore 1,100 acres of the Herring River's tidal estuary. Another was an archaeologist. His job was to review any potential disturbance, so whether they're needed to do work somewhere, build something. Think electrical, think plumbing, think anything that disturbs the ground. It was his job to review records in the area, make sure it didn't impact the natural environment or any things that we have to preserve within the environment. Okay. And then a ranger who worked to provide outreach and education. So those were the 3 areas that were terminated. Let's see. There are also 10 full-time vacancies currently beyond those 3 positions that were terminated.
That they were looking to fill.
That they were looking to fill.
Yeah.
That are now on a freeze. Okay. Let's see. There's a nonprofit run by David Bernstein. It's Friends of the Cape Cod National Seashore, and that's kind of who operates the hiring and appointing, or I shouldn't say appointing, just hiring of those positions,
Yeah.
and you know, making sure that that place runs effectively. And looking ahead into the summer, because we're not even in summer yet.
Yeah.
There's about 100 seasonal positions that are considered temporary, or what's the other word for it?
Seasonal.
Seasonal. There's another word that I was trying to think of it. I can't, so I'm going to move on. So lifeguards, safety and maintenance workers, and tram drivers are all included in that. And because of the hiring freeze.
Tram drivers?
So it's like the little, like, you know how Plymouth has like the Sea Plymouth?
Oh,
It's
I
just
got
like
you,
a little
got
cart.
you.
Yeah, it's like-
I just had like, oh, those are trolleys. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah. It's just like a little
I just had like San Francisco run through my head, and I'm like,
Little
where is
thing.
that on the Cape?
thing.
That'd be so cool.
It might even be bigger than that, but
Yeah.
it's just like a service
Yeah.
that's provided
I
to
got
help
you.
folks
I got
get
you.
around. So,
It was my brain misfiring.
yeah,
that's all.
all of those positions are frozen for we don't know how long, but the season is fast approaching. And certainly, I can't imagine.
And you need to like start hiring now.
Yes, I cannot imagine a summer on the Cape at the National Seashore without lifeguards.
Lifeguards, yeah.
I just can't.
Which also then goes to, so you're getting rid of 3 full-time, a boatload of seasonal, part-time, whatever you want to call them, including lifeguards, in an area that for the past few years have been very shark heavy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that's got to be part of their job, you
Right.
know? Shark sighting.
In 2023, the National Park Service has reported that 3.8 million people visited the National Seashore. So Dan Zotto, I believe he was interviewed. Contracted work, that's what it is. So people
Okay.
who are not actually like,
Gotcha.
you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Who's Dan Zotto?
He's the archaeologist.
Oh, okay.
So he did talk to the Cape Cod Times about this. He received an email 45 minutes before the end of his shift on February 14th. It stated that he did not demonstrate the skills, fitness, and performance that would warrant continued employment.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
right.
considered a probationary employee, so that falls under the people in the probationary period of it, because he was in a contract worker, and he said he had no performance reviews, so there was like no.
So was he probationary because he hadn't been on the job?
I think it's because he's just a contract worker.
Oh,
so
I
it's
got you,
considered
got you.
probationary.
Yeah, so
Okay,
he's
I got
not
it, yeah.
like a full-blown employee.
Yes.
He's just
Let's see. He has 15 years of experience in the job. And on any given day, like I said, he was reviewing a multitude of projects that take place in the National Seashore. It's 68 square miles. And to make sure that it is preserved and any decision made on either changing or building something does not impact anything that they're trying to preserve. So just a little bit about him. I appreciated that he spoke out about it a little bit.
Yeah.
So definitely some things to think about. We talked about, right, the potential of there's sharks in the area.
Yeah.
Right. The general safety of like
swimmers in the
Swimmers.
ocean.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
but think about
riptides, undertows.
think about what, because I don't know, but let's say in order to not be liable, we have to close much of the beach in order to
so
maintain safety of the
you
public.
have the lifeguards
Yeah,
because it's state property
yeah,
or federal property.
federal, yeah. So imagine
And
if we can't
Right.
get lifeguards. So I don't know the impact, but I think the potential to lose a large area of tourist attraction what is it? There's a special term for things that are like the natural resources that draw tourists to it, right? We have the potential to lose that this summer,
Yeah.
on top of many other things that the National Park Services are going to lose.
I'm sure they're assisting in, go back to our last episode, the bird flu.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, it's
So here, that's that's something that's very close to home. It's something that's felt countrywide. I know in other parts of the country, there's Park Service members that were terminated, and their job was to maintain a facility that has like artifacts in it. So now, like, who's going to
do that.
do that? Right?
Yeah.
They're going to be left unattended. We might not have this beach that helps draw so much of our economy. So there's a lot of little things to it. A lot of stuff that felt like it was just, something I had to talk about, because all of these movements with the bridges, with our park services, will impact us in more than just being able to use them. It's going to be a huge
Yeah.
impact. So
And I mean, that's it's one of those you will never know how badly it'll impact you until it does.
Right.
And it's like, it's not, it's so the tourists don't come here, and you're going to hear people be like, well, good. I'm like, yeah, but
That's
now,
half your income for the
no,
summer.
I don't think.
but-
I feel like no one's going to say. And good, half of the tourists to the Cape are from Massachusetts.
But what I'm saying, what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
like, hypothetically, if you posted that on Facebook, you can have people like downtown Plymouth. People complain about tourists all the time. Mm-hmm. But that's like, if you didn't have those tourists coming, then the restaurants that are there that you love so much wouldn't be open,
Right.
And your friends that work jobs there wouldn't have jobs there, and then they wouldn't have money to spend at your tire company or your, car detailing or your carpet cleaning. Like, it is all connected.
It really
That's
is.
my point, but the people don't see it as being connected.
When you have this very tourism-based economy like Plymouth does, like a lot of the Cape does, like there's not a replacement for that.
No.
No.
You don't have the other sources of income. Like,
right. But what I'm saying is the people who don't have things that are directly related to tourism
yeah,
Right.
don't
realize that they're still directly
It's
related
like
to
Yes, yeah,
tourism.
I know
the
what you're
people who
saying.
pay you make their money through tourism.
Through tourism.
I don't know how to tell you
Yeah.
this. Like, if they don't have any money, you don't have any customers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought this was they were both like equally important topics. Obviously, one doesn't affect us for a while. This has a huge potential to affect us greatly this summer. And it's someone who's been to many, many national parks.
They're going to say the Cape. I'm like, we've all been to the Cape.
Someone who's been to the Cape. No, many national
I
parks
was there
just
like
in
the other
general.
day.
I can say with certainty, there was never a moment where I felt like there were too many employees.
Oh, I can't imagine.
So
look, it's-
just some food for
Well,
thought.
it's
There was never a moment where I felt like there was too many people
there's
working.
people standing around with their hands in their
yes,
pockets.
yes.
Ah, yes, our famously massively overstaffed National
Yes.
Park Service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and only good core memories from any national parks worker who I've ever interacted, or forest service worker, because I've interacted with both, and hopefully there's a resolution that is better than what's happening. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, this is the part where we're super depressed, and
I was literally, after I did this research, I said, this is such a bummer.
these two episodes.
This
have
is the
been
most
like,
downer recording session
Yeah.
we've had in a long time.
I'm so sorry, but I just felt like
No,
I had to speak
you
my
shouldn't
truth.
be sorry because they're both important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had to.
We're in a very
It's
depressing time right now.
It's what's been just like eating at my soul, you know?
I get it.
Yeah. It's what I had to talk about. It's what I had to bring to the table. And it very much impacts us here. So,
Yeah. So tune in, listeners, next time when we openly cry on the podcast.
Is this where we stop talking?
And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/Inebri-art to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at Inebri-art.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art or at Inebri-art6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebri-art, and all the other shows on the Inebri-art Network, which you can find at Inebri-art.com. Thanks again for listening.